Hi, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. I am so elated to have this amazing woman virtually engagement. I started to say in the studio, old habits die hard, but we'll be back in the studio hopefully soon within the very near future. But she has made great strides and is very committed to the development of our young people, specifically in the area of STEM. I dare not try to describe her daily activity and the impact that she's made. I'll allow her to do that. She is none other, and I'm super excited again to have her, Miss Danielle Towns. How are you?
I'm great, Dr. Wilson. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you. I know we live in the same community, but it seems like it has been forever since we've had an opportunity to just catch up. And I think it's been a few years. We had some connections with Girls Inc. Some years ago, and time has quickly passed. So I'm eager to hear what you've been doing oh so well. But tell our viewers a little bit about your academic background, what you majored in during your undergraduate years, and then what led up to your current career path.
Absolutely. So I am a proud Oregonian, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. And with the community I was raised in, there was not a rich history of Black history, just to be frank. And so I sought out to attend an HBCU, which led me to Clark Atlanta University at the age of 16. I majored in biology with a minor in chemistry. And from there went on to pursue a master's of management at Troy University. Those endeavors led me to finding a passion, not only for science, but for education. And so my very first real job, as I'll call it, was as a teacher right here in Albany at the Dougherty County School System.
Outstanding. And we have to go back a little bit because I did not miss that. You entered undergraduate, you started matriculating at Clark at the age of 16.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously your parents did something amazing, or perhaps it was even just the genetics. We had a genius child on our hand, but that's a pretty great feat. You left home. That's a pretty significant distance, and then started pursuing your degree. So where, at what point during your formative years what ignited you to be passionate about education and obviously be so successful?
Yeah, I was just one of those children who just thrived in a school, made deep connections with not only my peers, but my teachers. I write letters to my teachers over the summer. And it really came about my graduating a year early from high school, just because of simple math. We figured out that, we needed 22 credits to graduate. We got 7 credits a year. We earned those a year. And if I just took one summer school course, I can get out there a year early. And so, being in Oregon, where though it's a very international city, I just knew that there was so much more history that was steeped in Southern culture in HBCUs. And it was something that I was eager to explore and was supporting and doing. And I found my way to Clark Atlanta University. There was a college tour where a number of HBCUs presented themselves. And I really aligned, and the motto of Clark Atlanta University really resonated with me, which is I'll find a way or make one. And that just was so powerful. I could envision myself there. So at 16, packed my bags from Oregon, came to a summer bridge program, and have been in Georgia and in Southwest Georgia, particularly since 2005.
Outstanding. Well, we're excited that you made that decision and then migrated here to Albany. So you were in the Dougherty County School System for a period of time. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Absolutely. My first assignment, I began as a long-term substitute for the late Benjamin Blaylock at Dougherty High School. It was just an amazing opportunity to really learn the business of education, as a science major, not really knowing pedagogy, learning classroom management, and just the real dynamic between teacher and student. It was a great learning experience. I had great mentors like William Chun, Deborah Jones, and a host of others who were committed to making my success as a teacher, committed to my success as a teacher. So began at Dougherty High School, spent some time at Westover High School, and eventually transitioned on to Albany Middle School before coming to the great Albany State University, where I served as program director for K-12 STEM programs, working under the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs, leading the Science, Engineering, and Math and Aerospace Academy, as well as being the co-PI of a NASA grant that Albany State received, which was the Summer of Innovation, which really sought to engage 4th through 9th grade students in NASA-supported curriculum that taught the full gamut of STEM disciplines: physical science, chemistry, earth science, and beyond.
Very good. So we're still challenged with attracting those in marginalized and underserved communities to STEM programs. And certainly not because of their inability to successfully perform, because that is, if that misnomer still exists, we'll have to do what we need to do to dismiss that or to eradicate that. But what what have been some of the challenges that you've experienced as to why we don't see a larger growth, and what have you done to counter that? Hopefully a past reality. You're in it every day, so maybe you've seen it change, and I hope so.
Yeah, so we have to first realize that the United States has a host of broken systems, standards, and policies that limit opportunities for those in underserved and underrepresented communities. That those limitations weaken our global standing and cause us to miss out on the individual and community benefits of a collective and diverse workforce. So I'm so excited to be with the National Math and Science Initiative, where we believe that STEM education is the greatest lever and is unmatched in unlocking student potential. And for all the work that we do in STEM education to provide supports for educators and students, we also realize that the work that we do develops the capacity for those students to eventually pursue STEM careers or affect change, positive change, with the learnings that they've had in STEM, within the STEM disciplines. So it's really about making sure that there is equity and access in STEM education so that we can ignite passion, we can fuel discovery, and we can set them on a trajectory that allows them to pursue their passions while they're tackling the world's toughest challenges.
Sure. So I would like to learn or share with the viewers the different pathways that you engage those students. So certainly I'm sure there is a relationship that you have with school systems. So if you could present that. And then I would love to hear how you all are conducting with them in terms of parent engagement and educating parents on how they can get their students actively involved, and those resources that might be, readily available to them through just a click of a mouse.
Absolutely. So at NMSI, which National Math and Science Initiative, we engage all stakeholders, beginning with our families, through a host of approaches. One I'll talk about a little bit later, called STEM Adventures, where we are connecting families and communities to STEM industry partners to, again, ignite passion, fuel discovery, and really begin to shape minds and transform attitudes and beliefs around STEM education. But the focus of what I do currently is to create sustainable practices through locally informed partnerships that we create sustainable practices, and we change policies that affect change at the federal, state, and community level.
Okay. Very good. And so a little bit about that whole local piece. And so I'm a parent. I have two, thankfully mine are, out of the high school realm and graduated from college. But those that are in that K through maybe 6th or 8th grade space, how do you connect with them? Because their minds, particularly in those elementary years, are so very fertile and they're so excited. And to me, that would seem like the ideal time to embark and to make that connection with them, to say, these are the opportunities that await you on a global level.
So there are a host of initiatives that we employ at NMSI. Everything from our early childhood elementary STEM initiative, which really focuses on pre-K through 2, knowing that that is the age where they are most malleable and open to ideas, from our family and community engagement strategy, which really seeks to transform the mindsets and bring parents into the fold to position them as advocates for their students' education. we have a rural education initiative to make sure that those underrepresented populations and communities are served. So through just multiple touch points that we engage our pre-K through 12 students, there are, although NIMSI is a national organization, we have a regional footprint, but our goal is to really create locally informed partnerships with stakeholders, again, beginning with families, including our K through 12 districts, our institutions of higher education, STEM industry partners, and really addressing the needs of that community. So a lot of our work is tailored to the needs of that community, and we move towards a collective impact model so that we are making sure that while we're moving students through programs and experiences that can affect the trajectory, we're also doing things that, you know, contribute to a diverse workforce. We are doing things to introduce parents to STEM and change their mindset, because we know that a lot of the attitudes that students inherit come from home.
Yeah.
So there's this a multifaceted approach to engagement of students that are spread across several portfolios. But again, early childhood STEM, when there is that excitement where we can ignite discovery and fuel their passion, through middle school, where we recognize that social pressures and competing priorities may interfere with their engagement. So having that hook, so maybe things like the science of chemistry, or, you know, thinking about cooking classes that connect with chemistry, or even the physics of football, you know, so making sure that we have very targeted, very relevant programming, as well as providing supports for our educators who we know engage with our students up to 8 hours a day, right? And so with educators, we're very intentional on providing supports that vertically align so that our teachers in 12th grade can reach back to the teachers in kindergarten and have a plan so that we scaffold the learning so each year builds upon the next. So students don't come into STEM feeling inadequate, feeling that they don't know, but every year builds upon each other and builds upon the next. And so they feel that more empowered and that more capable of being STEM enthusiasts, STEM students, and maybe pursuing STEM careers to contribute to that diverse and global workforce, or even using what they've learned in the STEM disciplines to affect positive change in their community.
Excellent, excellent. I know that that's going to be critical, because a lot of times, and when I was in high school 1,000 years ago, there was this running joke, and I think I've heard it since then, that, oh, you know, we're learning this science, we're learning this math, and it was particularly with math, I always got a raw deal saying that we'll never use this again. So I love the way that you are then applying it to day-to-day engagement and operations, and so that there's physics and football, and then you shared a piece about cooking and that whole chemistry component, because again, when you can make it relevant to your day-to-day practices and engagement, again, that helps with that hook. I'm curious, now that we are in this age of this unprecedented times and this pandemic, how have you, in your role and the educational process and the engagement with the parents and students and the various stakeholders within the community, how have you had to adjust? And what are some of the initiatives that you have then tailored to accommodate these conditions that we're in?
So fortunately, I work for a very nimble organization who was forward thinking and has been thinking about ways to engage in the online space. So although we did have to pivot, there was not too steep of a learning curve.
Right.
So a lot of our face-to-face activities we were able to take online. For example, with our family and community engagement strategies, we initially had planned to engage school districts, students, families through a half-day event in person. We've been able to take that online, and through that online engagement, we've been able to bring in partners across the country. So whereas we may have been limited to local community resources, now with our STEM Adventure, which is going to be hosted on September 10th, we are able to engage TIES, which is the Teaching Institute for Excellence in STEM. We're able to engage the CDC. We're able to engage Boys and Girls Clubs of America. So it has expanded the breadth and the scope of our work and really have brought in some phenomenal STEM industry partners and allowed us to involve and engage stakeholders who are not local to those communities, but who are absolutely eager to serve all students.
Outstanding. So tell us a little bit about the activity that's happening on September 10th. Is it, how can we become involved, or is it a specialized targeted group that you're going after? So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so if I can say one positive thing has come out of COVID, it has allowed us to expand the breadth of our services. So whereas a lot of times, again, we would have targeted activities by school, by district, by region, we are now able to open this up to the world. Wonderful. So on September 10th, we are hosting our Back to School STEM Adventure. It is the third installment of our STEM Adventure series. Our first summer STEM Adventure was July 16th, which was a phenomenal success. We had our second installment, which was targeted for military families and involved the Department of STEM Education Consortium, along with some of those partner organizations in August. But on September 10th, we are so excited. We will be online from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern with some phenomenal STEM partners. Again, the CDC will provide us access to some of their STEM professionals who will share their STEM journey and really share how their work has inspired them to not only engage in the STEM fields, but how it aligns to, you know, the current status with COVID-19. So they may share some of the work that they're doing on specific projects. We are working with Boys and Girls Clubs of America, who will teach students how to decode DNA. We are working with a couple of fantastic app developers, Bedtime Math, who incorporates, you know, math problems and fun bedtime stories that you can engage your younger children in. We have another fantastic partner, Make Music Counts, who uses top 100 hits to teach math. So everything from fractions to trigonometry to decimals, all for our 6th to 12th grade students. Kodo Kids, who is an early elementary STEM provider. So this adventure is open again to all pre-K through 12th grade students, their families, their teachers. You can find out more information as well as session details on NMS, N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, S as in Sam.org under the family resource page. And again, we just open it to everyone. Our last few adventures, we've had folks from Canada, we've had folks from Mexico. So we hope that this is going to be a global event that, again, inspires our students and families to get excited about the school year. We know it looks different, but that doesn't mean the learning can't be just as meaningful and a lot of fun.
I know. Well, thank you. You said something, if I can say, when you mentioned, if I can say something positive about COVID, absolutely. Come back anytime you want to say anything positive. And it's, again, it's how we're approaching the situation. Our reality is our reality, but it's what you do with that reality that makes all the difference in the world. I do not want to minimize, you know, the challenges, the impact on health, the loss of life that have come with this. But it has also forced us to sit still, to become creative. We know and understand the importance and necessity of continued education. And so then it has, again, triggered us to, or caused us to become creative in that process, because it absolutely must continue on and expand and further develop. So we can't cease in that effort, because that impacts, you know, civilization as a whole, in my opinion. So thank you so much for saying that. I got excited when you shared the range, pre-K all the way to post-secondary education, in terms of the opportunities of engagement on this September 10th date. That's a lot of knowledge packed into one day. But again, just covering so many different genres, but then meeting so many different demographics at the same time. So you all to be applauded. I know that took a lot of planning behind the scenes. So that's wonderful. And then to certainly engage rural Southwest Georgia. There's still so much untapped resources here. And sometimes I liken it to the land of that's been forgotten. But we thank you for individuals like yourself, just keeping us at the forefront and keeping us connected on a global level.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's so much more that NIMSY does. We consider ourselves to be a pre-K through 16 organization. We've just recently partnered with the United Negro College Fund to expand our You Teach program, which is a program where we identify STEM majors to introduce them and to help them gain certification in STEMs without any additional costs. So imagine all these STEM enthusiasts, STEM majors who can then graduate not only with their STEM degree, but a certification to teach. And we know one of the biggest impacts in education is having educators that look like you, that resonate, that are diverse and part of your tribe. And so through that partnership with UNCF, we are piloting the HBCU You Teach initiative at 9 HBCUs, including my alma mater, Clark Atlanta University. So I'm super excited to watch how that unfolds, to see the college students that we bring in and can introduce to the educational field, as well as the students that they can touch and perhaps change the trajectory of their academic careers, as not only, you know, those who pursue STEM careers, but who may eventually go into STEM education to teach that next generation.
Outstanding. You reminded me, I was reading something over the weekend, and they were referencing the movie Hidden Figures, and how we have a whole generation of young girls that pre-K age on up, who now, because of they saw that movie, they saw someone or saw individuals that had a huge impact, made differences within that whole STEM realm, made a difference in terms of a global, impacted NASA. The list goes on, which then served as a catalyst that, hey, someone that looks like me did that I can do it too. It just becomes a natural step in terms of expressing interest, or just being inclined to go into that direction. So I'm sure you get that same response when you start sharing your history and your trajectory as it relates to your academic pursuits and then also your career pursuits. So thank you for being a representative as well.
Absolutely. And one thing I do have to mention, I do have to thank Albany State University. When I joined the staff in 2010, through those, the projects that I led in K through 12 STEM, that allowed me to have partnerships with the Doherty County School System, Lee County School System, and Worth County School System. It was not only a focus on in-class academics, but we provided these off-campus experiences that, for one, took students many times for the first time out of Southwest Georgia. So we were able to really ignite a passion for STEM, encourage them to explore through opportunities such as taking them to Kennedy Space Center and allowing them to sleep under the world's largest rocket. They were able to meet astronauts, and we also attended a shuttle launch, one of the very last shuttle launches of the low Earth orbiting system. And so it's more of those anecdotal experiences, as well as those that, we provided with the classroom instruction and the programming, that really move students to be these lifelong learners who pursue their passions by tackling the world's toughest challenges in STEM. But it's that fostering of, a love of education, that confidence that we can build in developing their STEM capacity that takes them so far. And to know that all of this can happen with children from Southwest Georgia who are capable of anything has provided me the fuel to keep doing what I do professionally and to spread my wealth of knowledge and love for STEM and students as I continue to move forward.
Yeah. And I remember your work here at Albany State University. And of course, that impact is continues to live out. But what always will stick with me is your role when you took the young girls from Girls Inc. They had an opportunity to go, and then for them to return, they went with a level of uncharted excitement. But then when they came back, it was just, if you could just contain that level of excitement and the wonder in their eyes. And again, we take so much for granted as it relates to just because of our experiences and our ability to travel and then exposing our children to that. But there are so many children, not of their own doing, just because of circumstances and condition, because they happen to fall into, again, as we said, those marginalized or underserved, underrepresented communities that don't have the opportunity to travel. So organizations like this one open up doors that are absolutely unimaginable and then impact not only their lives, but generations to come.
Yeah, and it's been my life work. I share, openly that I grew up in foster care and, was one who faced significant challenges and barriers to access because of, the label that was put on me as a foster child. You are not supposed to graduate high school. You may be a teenage, pregnancy.
Yeah.
But for as much challenge that I faced and what I endured, I know that I'm not alone. And I know if that this capacity, this promise lives within me, that same is evident and reflected in many of the youth that we serve. And so you are not defined by your gender, your community, your socioeconomic status, or your zip code. Those things may be labels, but those are barriers that you can blast through to become anything you want. And it's up to people like us who have a little bit of age and experience on our side to introduce them to all of the possibilities so that they can realize their potential.
So thank you so much. As I've said to you in the past, but let me remind you, I've just always been in awe over who you are, what you bring to the table, your graciousness, and you live your life unapologetically. And so you're very proficient. You have a great acumen in STEM. And again, you give that to those who are within earshot and willing to want to learn and engage. And so I thank you on behalf of this community for staying and wanting to also make a difference. But before we wrap up, absolutely, yes, we have to resume those partnerships with the institution. So I will be in touch about opportunities in which we can further collaborate. But let's tell our viewers about that September 10th date again, and then how they can connect and hopefully become actively involved with their children.
Absolutely. So this event is open to all pre-K through 12 students, their families, other caring adults, teachers, and anyone who just wants to learn more or has an interest and enthusiasm in STEM. We want you to visit our webpage at NMS, N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, S as in Sam.org. From there, you'll go to the Get Involved tab, our family resource landing page. There you'll find session descriptions from all of our session leads. Again, everyone from the Centers for Disease Control, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, Bedtime Math, Kodo Kids, Make Music Counts, just a host of STEM industry partners who are doing fantastic things to keep your kids excited, encouraged, and get them ready to kick off a phenomenal school year, however that may look in your home. I encourage you, if you have any questions or would like to learn more about NIMSY, our initiatives, or how to get involved, to email me at dtowns, D as in David, TOWNS, at nms.org. I also, I'm sure you can reach me through Dr. Wilson at Albany State University. And as I'm a local figure in the community, I am open to just collaborating, being a thought partner, and, figuring out how to make the most of all opportunities, especially in STEM, for those kids that we serve. We have a dynamic talent pool. We have some of the brightest minds here in Southwest Georgia, as I'm sure you know, and I encourage us to collaborate to create some sustainable changes that affect change here at the local and community level.
Well, the STEM extraordinaire, STEM educator, Miss Danielle Towns, it's always a pleasure to be in your company. Again, looking forward to future collaborations on behalf of this community. Thank you so, so much for your commitment and your drive and your passion to want to elevate our young people and all of those who desire and aspire to create pathways and just make a difference in this world through the world of STEM. Thank you so much. Know that you're always welcome back on Realizing Potential.
Thank you.
Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I look forward to seeing you next time.